How do you know your life matters? How do you know your life matters without the validation of others? All of us at some point may question whether or not our life matters, and the answer is yes, all of us matter. All of us are loved by God. All of us are considered worthy. We have God's presence with us. But we may go, okay, well, that's a nice thought process, but how do we know it? How do we know that our life matters down in our bones without the validation of others? And what's interesting is there are some concrete ways to kind of begin to get at this. And one of the ways we're going to look at today is found in Proverbs. And the verses, there's two verses we're going to look at, and both of those verses, not only do they help give us a sense of, okay, when we do particular things, we can know that our life matters. They're also helpful in trying to make our life a little less complicated, kind of like we talked about last week. So the verses are from Proverbs 16:23 through 24. The mind of the wise makes their speech insightful and enhances the teaching of their lips. Pleasant words are flowing honey, sweet to the taste and healing to the bones. All right, so cultivating the wise mind, insightful speech, helpful words, healing words. So here, Proverbs is trying to get us to think about how are we dedicating our lives to cultivating wisdom for ourselves. And wisdom is all about gaining new information that is good and helpful and being able to process, and that we're willing every single day to begin to learn something new. We are searching out wisdom every day. And wisdom, according to Merriam-Webster, is the ability to discern inner qualities in relationships, good sense, accumulated philosophical and or scientific learning. All right, so the ability to discern inner qualities in relationships, good sense, accumulated philosophical or scientific learning. All right, so what are we taking in that helps us discern? And then that sense of, okay, if we're cultivating a wise mind, then it changes our speech. We begin to have speech that's insightful, that begins to be helpful. And to think about how we are using our words. How deliberate are we? When are the times we need to hold those words in? When are those times where we can speak a word that is insightful or helpful? And it's not just about us, but how are we speaking those words to others, even when maybe they don't respond the way that we would like for them to respond or we want them to respond? Because this whole thing is, how do we know that our life matters outside of the validation of others? Because at the very core, at the very foundation, our life does matter because it belongs to God. And so one of the ways that we can be assured of that is the way that we are willing to engage in the wisdom of God, of learning that wisdom, of cultivating our minds with it, and how we are speaking it and saying it aloud to others. And so to take that moment back, be able to take that step back and consider, all right, how is it that my speech today, the way that I engage with others, shows that life matters. My life matters. Maybe someone doesn't accept it as such, but we are trying to be deliberate in the way that we engage others that's connected to God. And so when we are living God's love and God's hope and God's joy, all that God has given us with our words, with the way that we cultivate our minds with wisdom, we begin to get that bit of peace in knowing that our life matters. Pray with me. Life-giving God, you constantly surround us with love, peace, and wisdom, whether we realize it or not. We matter because you created us out of love for peace and joy. whether we know how to live it or not. Help us to take heart in knowing our life matters. Guide us in cultivating the wisdom we need and the practices that will help us know in our bones that our life matters. Amen.